China. The impact of an isolationist policy on the development of a society. Medieval China had little contact with the rest of the world for hundreds of years. What do you think are some consequences of living in an isolated society? The world today has an interconnected economy, and fast forward. Access to commodities and information is at our fingertips. We can travel around the world or bring the world into our living rooms. But this was not always the case. Throughout history, civilizations have depended on foreign trade, foreign alliances, and knowledge from abroad for their very survival. So it might seem odd that a civilization would ever choose to cut itself off from the rest of the world, but China, under the Ming Dynasty, did just that. In the early 1400s, Ming China was perhaps the world's most powerful nation. Using its vast resources, it rebuilt the Great Wall, expanded the Grand Canal, and constructed a massive palace complex known as the Forbidden City. Under the Ming emperors, China had the largest navy in the world. Admiral Zheng He traveled around the Indian Ocean over the course of 7 voyages, collecting tribute and gifts from foreign leaders and stories of exotic lands. He sailed in a fleet of ships that dwarfed the ones Christopher Columbus would use more than half a century later. Yet by the time the first European explorers sailed eastward around Africa and onto Asia, China had retreated into itself. Convinced of its own superiority, China cut diplomatic ties with other countries. Ming rulers banned Chinese merchants from engaging in foreign trade and ignored threats to the country from both outside and within. Too inflexible to adapt to a changing world, the Ming were finally conquered by the Manchu, who established their own dynasty in 1644. The Manchu continued China's dislike for things foreign. While other countries made great economic and technological strides, China remained inward-looking. By the 1800s, China's isolationism had taken its toll. Its outmoded military and bureaucracy crumbled in the face of Western expansionism. Great Britain, Portugal, Germany, Russia, and the United States all forced trade agreements and territorial claims on China. A weakened China eventually suffered civil war and then occupation by Japan during World War II. The communist revolution that followed the war also caused great upheavals. Only in recent years has China begun to prosper, becoming an economic powerhouse through international trade. As it has often been said, those who do not learn from history are condemned to repeat it. The country of North Korea is currently an isolationist society. After World War II, the Korean peninsula was divided into the communist-supported North and the American-supported South. Tensions escalated, and in 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, touching off a brutal war. An armistice in 1953 ended the fighting, but not the hostilities. The border between North and South Korea remains one of the most heavily armed areas in the world. North Korea's defensive mindset has become increasingly isolationist. Its leaders, Kim Il-sung and then his son, Kim Jong-il, have ruled the country as dictators for more than 50 years. Emigration is prohibited, visitors are restricted, and little news leaks out of the country. Foreign trade is almost non-existent. The North Korean people struggle under a crumbling infrastructure and widespread famine. North Korea has reluctantly accepted some foreign aid to deal with its crises, but its core problems remain. As a society isolated from the rest of the world, it lacks the resources to effectively solve its problems. Today, China seems to have learned from its past. It has become a major player in the global economy and in the international arena. Whether North Korea follows the example of modern China or Ming China remains to be seen.